Wait,
You're so entertained. You're like, I need to have it.
Oh, it's like I can't wait. This is gonna be great.
Because I've literally got 4.5 minute interview with Armstead, 4 minute kind of Q&A with Michael Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and then like the last 15 minutes, I'm just gonna give my like quick take on the game and give a score.
That's fair.
So yeah, we'll go 10:30. It'll be
okay. it'll be go time.
It'll be go time.
It'll be go time.
Actually, I don't know. It might be go time earlier if I just. I hate that guy.
Oh, I can't wait. This is going to be awesome.
Well, if you go read my column, I spelled it out pretty vividly.
Yeah, you did. Yes, you did.
Jennifer even she even got on the phone with me and she was like, are you sure?
Like, hey,
do you want to
sure
say? No, she's like, are you sure you want to say that Junior Galette reached out to you to tell you that he got released?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you were like, I'm sure like he did.
I mean, I was literally sitting at Superior Grill on a Friday with Brett Martell in the middle of the day drinking margaritas, and the news came out, and we were kind of both scurrying, but he texted me, and he's like, hey, I got cut. You got your wish.
Oh.
Loser.
What a doofus.
Yeah.
What a doofus. But, I mean, again, clearly.
Well, I'm going to call myself out, and I'm going to call out other media, because we deserve to be called out on Junior Galette. But they followed me like sheep. They had no idea why I kept writing for months and months and months.
Yeah.
Why he might be let go. Like, no one had a clue.
No one had like any idea that this was even a possibility.
No.
That this was like, hey guys, just let you know.
They're just like reading what I'm
this.
writing, and all of a sudden you could see like the tide. People say he might be released, but people had no idea why they were saying these things. They were just leaning on me.
Right, because you were getting all the intel.
Right. Shoot. I might do it at the beginning. This guy pisses me off.
I can't wait.
This guy pisses me off so bad. I've got my column in front of me.
I was going to say, I figured you did. Yeah, I was going to say, let's pull up some of these highlights.
This guy pisses me off so bad. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care if I say anything disparaging about that guy.
I don't. He shouldn't have to take it. He shouldn't pretend like it's something that, any of the real things he has going on in his life are any better.
Well, I'm going to give some like inside baseball stuff. I'm like, I don't care, man.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Like, I think the viewers are going to enjoy this today.
Yeah. All right. So we on YouTube yet?
Yes, we are.
All right. We got that in the post.
I'm putting it up right now. I'm putting it on social and then I'm getting it out.
All right. Okay. All right, gear up, YouTube.
Yes, it is on. Uh-huh. Yeah, Dave. Oh, that's yeah, I know.
The old
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Arch nemesis. The old Nickelbackenstein.
Lord.
Got to give Jeff some kudos on that one.
Oh.
What? Dunc and Holder on a Friday, November 17th. Jeffrey has literally gone fishing. Literally. He's hanging out with Jim Henderson, gone fishing. So I said, Jeff, as long as you go and catch me a delicious bass, you can go and leave the show on a Friday. So Clyde, the Glide,
So we know what that means.
is assuming the Jeffrey Duncan seat at least for an hour.
For at least for an hour.
Yeah, he'll hang out with me as I'm sure all of his YouTube fans are partying.
Oh, they're already excited so far.
I understand that, and that's okay. So, got a great show for you today. I'm talking fantastic show coming up. We're going to be talking heavy Saints, Redskins today. Of course, they meet up in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome on Sunday. As look, the Saints are looking to go 8 in a row. That's amazing to say. But look, we got plenty of guests and plenty of interviews that I've pre-recorded, so we'll play that. I won't tell a fib today. I promised humanity that we would play my interview with Terron Armstead yesterday. I totally lied. It was, I'm not going to say fake news because it was well-intentioned, but it's real that I actually talked with him, and we're actually going to play that. So we're going to play that today on the show. Also, we're going to hear from Michael Thomas. It's basically a Q&A with reporters. I'm in the mix. Our own Josh Katzenstein's in the mix. Look, he's got a great story on Michael Thomas on NOLA.com, and so go check that out. We're also going to hear from ESPN's Dianna Russini. She's going to be in town covering the game. Look, she covers the NFL. She does a great job. I've known her for a bunch of years now, and so she's kind of worked her way through the ranks, and now she's big-time national NFL reporter, so she's going to join us around 11:20, I'd say. And then from the Washington Post, we have Master Tesfatsion is going to join us. He covers the Redskins for the Washington Post. He'll join us around 11:30. And, of course, don't forget, Prep Football Friday, week 2 of the playoffs. We're going to have Jim Derry on around 10:45. And he's basically trying to catch his breath, just like Clyde is trying to catch his breath with all this prep football action going on.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, it's funny because you get to the end of the season and it's compact. And then once the playoffs come, teams are everywhere, spread across the state, so it's a mad dash. But look, you and Jim and our big staff of prep reporters, exactly,
yeah.
we get it done, so we'll talk about that. But I'm going to take a deep breath here.
Take a deep breath. And in fact, let me lead you into this. So for those of you who maybe just getting settled, kind of just milling about, either you just got to work or you're kind of just really settling into your first hour of work, I implore you to get to NOLA.com and get to our sports section. Obviously, today's Friday, which means that Larry's First and 10, just like clockwork, just like death and taxes, it's Friday, which means First and 10 has come out. Today's First and 10, I would imagine, is akin to, let's say, Notorious B.I.G. writing Juicy. It's one of those things that when you write it, you know that it's gold. And today's, and I'll just read the headline for it, and then I'll let Larry basically talk for the next 15 minutes. Saints have moved on from the Junior Galette mistake.
Look, I'll say this. Yeah, I'll say this. Look, remember last week in my First and 10 column, I gave a hug. I hugged.
And look what that hug did for Sheldon Rankins.
I hugged him, and I went on the air, played the interview I had, gave him basically a literal hug.
He did.
And said, look, you're not playing that bad. Your time's going to come. You're going to get your stats. And then all of a sudden he has a pick, nearly a pick 6, sack fumble, all these great things.
That guy interception.
Exactly. So this week I kind of went the opposite direction because Junior Galette is coming to town. And he's playing for the Washington Redskins. He is a situational pass rusher now. And I will say this. I got an email from, I'll just call him RS. We'll just leave it at that. An acronym. And he basically said in my column that I failed to mention that he's only a situational pass rusher and has 1 sack since he's left the Saints. F him. And that's it.
Wow.
That was the email.
Wow.
So people agree with the premise of my column, basically that I think Junior Galette is a pretty bad guy. I'm just going to put it to you that way. Pretty bad guy.
Well, and I think especially, we were talking about this off air, I think what's so interesting about the entire situation with Junior, I guess over the course of his very somewhat brief tenure here in New Orleans is
he was in New Orleans for 5 seasons?
Or should I... Yeah, by NFL standards, which would be a little bit longer. But towards the end, I think what's so surprising is the way it ended and how, most of these kind of separations, you at least want to think they're amicable. This was anything almost but, or at least according to, at least from what we were talking about beforehand, in terms of how he left, the way he left, and then the image that he portrayed to everyone for so long of who everybody thought he was comparatively to who he actually was, and the guy that we've actually seen on TMZ, on all these different other platforms about all the things that he's done since he's left, and you're like, well, man, that was a bullet dodged.
Well, I feel like here's kind of my fury on this, because I feel like I was duped, and I feel like the media here was duped. And look, we're not perfect, but we tend to be favorable to people who are open. Like, I could have called Junior Galette at any point in time, got him to talk, whatever. Like, he was very amicable to the media, and yet he was still the guy who caused trouble. Literally, you're talking about him on TMZ. I mean, there's literally a video of him running from police and getting tased and arrested in Biloxi.
Yeah.
And it's something that, look, when he got arrested back a couple of years ago with involving a domestic dispute, look, all the charges got dropped, this, that, the other. So once that happened, the people inside of the Saints organization were done with him. And Junior had no idea. Like, he had no clue that they were done with him. And it was an 8-month kind of span where I was writing that, look, they're going to be done with him. They're tired of his shenanigans. He's a cancer in the locker room. He's caused all these issues. And he is not going to be on the roster. And look, Junior comes out after the arrest, when he first finally speaks. And this is actually, he first finally spoke after I broke the story about Junior getting into a beach brawl with a belt, swinging it around wildly, and strikes a woman multiple times in the midst. And his defense was the Shaggy defense at first. Wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
And of course, we all know it was him.
Because the 480p, cell phone video at that point in time.
Right.
Oh yeah, it's grainy.
It wasn't me. No, it was you. And that was the beginning of the end. That video was sent to the NFL, and he eventually, he didn't get suspended for that video. He got suspended for the arrest.
Yeah.
But look, it's something where, because I got this on Twitter after I wrote this column, people were wondering, why was he the quote unquote media good guy award winner? Because, like I said, he would speak to the media, he would be engaging, he would, like I said, he would be accessible all the time. And so in that sense, we fell for it. We fell for it hook, line, and sinker. And you learn later on, and as he got his contract and got paid, this sort of thing, you learn who the guy still is and actually was the entire time. I'll just put it to you this way. When he got released, I'll never forget this. He got released. The news came out. I did not break the story, but I got confirmation from him unprompted. He sent me a text saying, I just got released from the Saints. You got your wish. I'm like, no, I did not get my wish. Well, maybe I did a little bit.
A little bit.
But he sent this to me unprompted, and who does that? Like, who does that? I'll give you another great story. When I broke the story about the belt whipping, he asked the Saints media relations staff if there's any time that I would walk into a scrum, and if I asked a question, that would he be allowed to stop the interview and just leave? Because he had no idea why he wouldn't want to talk to me, he wouldn't want to do this, and he was delusional, like a delusional guy. And all you got to do is look what's happened. Look, I even brought up the thing that happened after he got released. All of a sudden, someone's Twitter account came out and was basically torpedoing everyone in the Saints organization.
Yep.
And I'm not even going to spell it out because it's a pile of garbage. And so here's what's beautiful about this whole thing. The person whose Twitter account was being used, they emailed me a few months later wanting to get their story out about why that happened and could they get their story out. And I said, no, I'm not even dealing with you people.
No.
I'm not doing it. I'm
There's
not
no
dealing
story
with you
left to
people.
tell at this point.
No, you allowed it. I'm not giving him... The fact that I gave him ink today, I'm kind of disappointed in myself because the lead of my column is, I vowed never to write about Junior Galette ever again, yet here I am.
Here you are.
Because he's coming back, and all you got to do is go look on his social media accounts, and he's posting stuff and just ripping the Saints. And I loved how in weeks 1 and 2, he was going to Twitter, looking at my Twitter feed, and liking tweets that were disparaging remarks about the Saints defense. And guess how many times he's liked a tweet in the last, say, 2 months?
Probably hasn't been either less than 0 or negative numbers.
Negative numbers is about right.
Fair. Okay.
And this guy, he makes my skin crawl. And I think part of it is it's my own fault. Because I feel like when he got this contract, when he had his good season in 2011, you kind of or 2013, excuse me. You fell for it, and it was, oh, shucks, he's such a great guy, this, that, and the other. No, not a great guy. Not a great guy at all.
And then let's talk about, because you do also mention this in your article, and I'll read it. Quote, I'll read it verbatim. Meanwhile, Galette comes into the Dome with 12 total tackles, 1 sack, 6 quarterback hurries. He missed the previous 2 seasons with Achilles injuries. Now, whether or not you call that karmatic justice is the other thing. But are you surprised that he has been kind of relegated to the role that he has been since leaving, now knowing that he had all of this supreme talent and he could warrant the contract that he got? Is it a little surprising that he's kind of turned into the player that he is now, and it's like wasted talent, but it's like wasted from your own fault?
No, but look, he tore Achilles in each foot, so look, of course that's going to slow you down. But the Saints were viewing him as a situational pass rusher at that time anyway. And when I was going along the storylines, and I kept putting out, look, he might be a candidate for being released. And, of course, he had this huge cap number, and people were wondering why the hell would I say that.
Right.
But people didn't know what was going on behind the scenes and that he was a gigantic cancer in the locker room. And so, like, he's going to come in. He's going to want to go get Drew Brees. He's going to want to shove it to Sean Payton. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that out loud.
Especially not coming with a team that's 4-5 currently, and is going up against arguably what we've been talking about the last 7 weeks of the season now, even a makeshift but one of the better offensive lines in the NFL that is doing a fantastic job of making sure Drew Brees is upright for most of the game.
They might run at him on purpose.
I don't think anybody would be angry at that.
Do you remember how Sean Payton put it to Greg Williams?
Yeah.
I think Sean Payton, if he sees Junior Galette, I bet you they go after him. They might put Terron Armstead and Larry Warford, and they'll pull Larry Warford and they will pancake him.
Ooh, that would be so dirty too, especially for one play, especially if it's a play that goes for like hell long yardage. Oh, man.
And this isn't bounty talking, but they will block him into the ground.
And it's not like it would be anything, out of the ordinary, because that's football. That's a football play. That's something that they could easily do to try to set up either the run or a swing pass or something like that, depending on what it is, to actually get real yards. So let's not bring any of this stuff about they're going to go headhunting on Sunday. They're literally game planning to not only stop him and the rest of the Washington defense, but to also at the same time maybe stick it to him a little bit to say, oh, you want to come at us? We're coming at you, dude.
Well, you got to blame the Saints too. They fell for it too. They got hoodwinked, and
that's true.
They
but I mean,
did the deal, and we all. I just had to get that off my chest. And meanwhile,
is it a weight off of your chest? Then?
The end of my first item on 1st and 10. Junior Galette's gonna read it, and he's gonna literally get angry and be a loon, I'm sure. And I wrote my last line in my first item is, I'll prepare myself for Junior's angry texts, calls, or tweets. That's why there's a block button. So
also accurate.
If Junior's going to bring it, I'm going to do the old block and maybe report for spam.
That's fair, too. I mean, it's not like his Twitter account's doing anything good anyway, so it's fine.
No, it's not. So got that off my chest. I guarantee you I will not mention Junior Galette the rest of the show.
Therapeutic first segment. I like it.
Exactly. I needed to get that off my chest. So we will have a couple of open segments. So let me throw out the phone number. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved.
Country Fried Friday.
Country Fried Friday. And Clyde, look, Pelicans get back on the court tonight. Big game, nationally televised game. So we'll talk about that. But again, Jim Derry, we will talk with him at 10:45. Around 11:20, we will talk with ESPN's Dianna Russini, who will be covering Washington coming into town to take on the Saints. We'll also hear from the Washington Post's master Tesfatsion, we will hear from him. He covers the Redskins up there for the Washington Post. And we will also hear from Terron Armstead and Michael Thomas. So, locked and loaded show today. So, come on back. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder. My God, I hate Junior.
Wow, that was cathartic. It was almost cathartic. That was really good.
The fact that the woman's Twitter account he allegedly used, emailed me and wanted to like come clean. I was like, I don't have any time for you.
It's like, sorry.
That literally happened. I was like, I don't have any time for you.
Come clean to the feds, dude. We ain't got time for you.
No time for you.
All right, so I can put the So I can put the embed right into.
Yeah, just click the video part. Yeah, there. And hit that, and you can just put the link.
Sweet.
Yeah, just in the URL. Yeah, just copy and paste it. Yeah, cool.
Insert.
Thank you, bud.
Gotcha.
Yeah, put multimedia man.
Yeah. That's
and then hit the Saints one.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
Saints.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks, bud.
Insert. Then I'm gonna save that.
So that was fun.
That was awesome. That was great.
Yeah. Junior. Piece of garbage.
Like, I've learned something again today.
He's a piece. Man. I can't tell you how many people hate him. The best was when I was reporting all that stuff and breaking this news and writing all this stuff, all of his ex-teammates were just crushing him on Twitter. Like, Vilma, Will Smith, Fajita, Bobby McRae, Shanley. That's all of them were crushing him.
That's unreal, though.
All
it's unreal that you could be so loathed and so much disdain by all of these people.
But it's my fault, dude. I'm part of the problem. I enabled him. It's bad.
But at the same time, though, it's like you asked the question about whether or not you, like, when we talk about how the interactions with, which I think is a good thing for the YouTubers, like interacting with athletes.
Well, Sharper's the biggest example.
Yeah,
we were totally did not know the guy.
I don't think
know him.
No, but I mean, at the same time, I mean, who did? I mean, obviously, you could ask a lot of teams who didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
Which is a frightening aspect of it, because so many people, no one would have asked, no one would have thought about it, and then that's where we are.
No. But yeah, that guy's Junior's a scumbag. God.
Okay, all right.
I had people tweeting me, Junior Galette likes screenshots, and some of it's blocked, and
mercy.
Yeah.
Slapped my face and shook me like a rag doll. Don't that sound like a real man?
Zip. What is going on here? Zip the sing. What is this saying?
Gunpowder.
What is going on?
I told Dave, shout out to Dave. Of course, we can't go a day, a minute without giving a huge shout out to Dave back in the studio. Spinning the hits, as always. We have always talked this every week about my love for Miranda Lambert. Again, shout out to her. We didn't even talk about the American Country Music Awards last week.
Why would I?
Well, because, I mean, it was like last week, and then we were on the show, and then we had Country Fried Friday, and then we were going to
We have Country Fried Friday every Friday. Let me guess, you're going to bring out the sexiest man alive.
Oh, no, we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about
Why?
that.
Who is it?
Blake Shelton.
Don't you love him?
No.
Dave loves him. Why don't you love him, Clyde?
Mercy. For many reasons.
Never mind. I don't want to get into it. I want to get back into my rant because I promised I'd never talk about them again. But
now we're still talking about it.
But I got to bring it up. The best part about all of... Exactly.
Yeah, clearly.
The best part about the old Junior Galette saga was that when these bad things were happening to him and I was reporting on it or opining on it or whatever, all of his ex-teammates would go on Twitter and just rip the guy. Rip away. And it was telling about the guy.
Really?
It was telling.
I don't know why. I mean, at that point, I don't know why you're surprised, though. I mean, because don't most of us, or should I say, don't most people of this ilk show their true colors in situations like this?
Well, I've shown my true colors in this situation.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, you had about I think from the time we started the show until about
it's 10:27 and I'm still going on.
So you've had about a good 20 minutes to be able to like absolutely roast and excoriate this man.
Well, it'll probably be the last time because I'm sure we probably won't be seeing him much more after the season. But,
which wouldn't be terrible.
Exactly. So anyway, Pelicans taking on the Denver Nuggets tonight in Denver. Nationally televised game. This ought to be interesting. Look, Pelicans are 8-7, and look, the Nuggets, they're playing good basketball too. So I'm curious to see how they handle this. We've seen how they handle. Look, the Nuggets are 8-6. Obviously, they're a favorite going into this game.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see how the Pelicans. Look, they lost a real sluggish game, I'd say, against the Raptors.
And they didn't play a lot of good defense. I mean, the Raptors shot pretty much 60% from the floor, so that's not going to...
Basically shot 50% from three-point land.
Yeah. Kyle Lowry almost had a triple-double.
My goodness. But I'm curious to see how the Pelicans respond to this game. And look, we've talked about it plenty of times on this show, how this stretch in November is daunting. And it started with the Raptors, and now it's at Denver, and then you go to home. You get a few days off. You come back on a Monday. You take on Oklahoma City. Then home against San Antonio. At Phoenix. At Golden State. Versus Minnesota at home. And then you got, going into the month of December, at Utah. At Portland. Home against Golden State. Home against Denver. I mean, that is a gauntlet, to say the least.
It is. But, I mean, when we talk about the Western Conference, when we talk about the teams that you know that you have to beat, because that was one of the things I was thinking about a couple of days ago, or at least earlier this week when when the Pelicans were going through the East. It was always a talk that the Pelicans or the then Hornets could always go and get a win either on the road or at home against Eastern Conference opponents, because that conference was always, and kind of still is, seen as a conference that you should probably more often than not get wins against, except for whatever team LeBron James is on. Whatever other hot
apparently
team.
You can get wins against LeBron James these days.
Apparently a lot of people are getting wins against LeBron James and the Cavs this season so far. But we're talking about, the idea that in order to be a playoff team, you have got to win these games against your conference and divisional rivals. You've got to continue to get wins over the Dallases, over Memphis, and then you have to also get some wins against some of the better teams out west, your Utahs, your Portlands. Although one of the strangest things is if you go back and look through historically, the team has not played well or has not fared well when going to places like Utah, San Antonio, Portland, and now, especially with Golden State being a power, you're really looking at saying, man, we really have to beat the Clippers. We really have to beat the Lakers. We really have to beat the Suns. And those games are always still going to be close because those are still quality sides. And tonight's going to be a lot of the same things. Denver is a very good team. Obviously, they're only really technically a half game ahead of the Pelicans right now, but still, this is going to be a really key matchup in my mind that continues the evolution of what this team, I believe, will look like after the new year with Rajon Rondo, with this team now complete of what we thought was going to be to start the season.
Yeah, I agree. And this is going to be something, it's the stretch, and you got to be able to get this done. And look, it seems to me that Denver has kind of the horses to match up, just like Toronto did. Denver has some horses to match up with Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins, at least defensively. So I think that's, look, you got Paul Millsap, and you have...
He's had a fantastic career.
I'm going to butcher this name. Nikola Jokic. I don't know.
Nikola Jokic.
Same thing. Nikola. Look, I was close.
You were close. You weren't that far off.
I at least got the last name right.
Yeah,
that's because of my my tennis background. Old Jokic, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure
Djokovic.
You played a lot of Serbian / Eastern European.
I've never played them. No, I don't. I'm not that good.
I wouldn't put my money on you if you did.
All right, let's go to the phone lines real quick, and we'll take a break. 504-260-1280. Bill in Harahan. Bill, thanks for calling Dunc and Holder. What you got? Oh, my goodness. Hey, Bill, appreciate it. What is his value? It's through the moon.
His value is an entire franchise.
Exactly.
I mean, there's no other way to put it. The value that Anthony Davis brings to a franchise is earth-shattering. It's worth more than whatever you think it could be, because that's what he brings, his versatility to an entire organization. So let's say that happens. Let's say it's the worst case scenario. Then not only are you hitting the red button, but you're hitting every other button in succession to blow this entire thing up, and you're starting from scratch. And at this point, you have to hope that you are far enough down the pecking order to get a very, very high draft pick. Because if you don't, you are in absolute no-win territory, and it's not going to be pretty to see what happens after.
Well, Anthony Davis, here's the thing. They're not going to, if this season goes down the tubes, they're not going to trade him.
No, absolutely not. And
you've got to build around him.
Yeah, and from everything we've heard, he doesn't sound like that type of cat. He doesn't sound like the guy that is, now granted, he wants to, I'm sure he wants to win just as much as anybody else wants to win, but he doesn't sound like the type of guy that is going to want to force moves because a team is either not winning up to standards, because at the end of the day it does come down to players, but at the same time you got to give him stability to want to continue to have that belief in you that he should stay for the long haul to help bring this organization to where it should be.
Yeah, this bunch of games that we're going to see, and like I said, through November and early part of December, I mean, it's going to be critical to their success and see where they're going. So, like right now, I mean, obviously we can talk about it because it's a topic, but we're going to have to see where they go because they're all in right now, and they know they need to be all in right now because the clock is ticking. Everyone knows it. DeMarcus Cousins knows it. Anthony Davis knows it. Alvin Gentry, Dell Demps, Mickey Loomis, Tom Benson. Everybody knows.
Everybody knows it.
The clock is ticking this year. So let's take a break right here on the show, and when we get back, who do you want to hear from, Michael Thomas or Terron Armstead?
Oh, I definitely want to hear from Michael Thomas.
All right, we'll play interview with Michael Thomas. Look, he is sneaky, as in one of the best receivers in the NFL, and you're not hearing about him because of the running statistics and the defense and all this, but he is a top 4 receiver in the NFL right now as far as receptions, and he's top 8 in yardage. So he is certainly a number 1 receiver. So we'll hear from him coming up next here, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
Playing that Blake Shelton. Yeah, that's who that was. Don't play dumb with me, dude.
Cocky Clyde.
Don't play dumb with me, dude.
Oh, Cocky Clyde.
Oh, that's sweet.
All right, Dave, did I have a good enough Junior Galette rant? Was I good enough for you? I hesitated on cursing.
Yeah, so you did your absolute best.
I hate that guy, man. Man, there are, boy, I got a top 5 list of gigantic losers I've ever covered, and he's got to be number 1. Jeremy Shockey's a close
second.
Well, now you can get
Galette.
sildenafil, the active ingredient in Viagra, in generic 20 milligrams.
I loved going up to him and questioning him after
per dose.
Saying like
Marley
it was
Drug
in.
is a North Carolina pharmacy delivering generic sildenafil to you.
It was in OTAs, and I loved.
Or call us at 800
when he spoke after his arrest, and I was ripping him for months.
Again,
and then after that happened is when I broke the belt video story.
I don't
Such
know why
glory.
I was spared.
Such
Hollywood
glory.
heavyweight
That guy's
Julia
such a
Roberts says
scumbag.
she's never experienced sexual harassment in the entertainment industry.
Don't meet your
firsthand.
heroes, kids.
I almost feel
If he's your hero, you got problems.
NBC Today show to promote her new film Wonder, Roberts addressed the growing sexual
guessing
harassment
YouTube's
scandal
probably
in
loving
Hollywood.
my.
Yeah, they've enjoyed
Especially off-air stuff.
Oh yeah,
That's such a loser.
it's good stuff, man.
She said she felt very lucky not to know her female
But yes, I am
colleague firsthand, but was
I got to take
nevertheless
blame
very
on
troubled
it.
by the
Well,
allegations that
I
had
helped
emerged. Meantime,
put that
a
loser on a
classic
pedestal
shook
for a
up
while.
disgraced musician
Well,
Harvey
yeah.
Weinstein
Well, I
and
mean,
former film
my question
companies.
is,
The
like,
suit filed by unnamed
if you're the
actress
Saints,
Weinstein
you know this, and you're
regularly
like,
used a
oh, we just
casting
want to
couch
tell people,
harass and
but we
sexually
can't,
assault hundreds
or
of women.
maybe they don't really know.
Well, the Saints knew.
Coldplay frontman Chris Martin will be playing
Well, the
himself
Saints,
on
here's
an
the thing.
upcoming Modern Family episode.
They
Billboard
felt
claims
enough
the
that
role in the
they
ABC
thought they could
comedy
trust him. That's why they gave him a big
features Ty Burrell's
contract.
character, Phil
And
Dunc, who's
then
trying to
he
sell the
went
singer
back
a
to
house.
gigantic turd mode once he got paid. It's kind of like they fleeced
Singer
him
Melissa
too.
Etheridge
Yeah,
was
absolutely.
Time in her marijuana possession case, she was given a sentence of
1 minute.
supervised probation and will have to pay $1,000 in fines. Etheridge says she uses marijuana to treat cancer. That's entertainment. Jennifer Bolsoni, NBC News Radio.
The sound drop from Pepsi.
Hey guys. All right, so when we play the Michael Thomas audio, that's the word I'm looking for, audio.
That's the word.
Your mics will be on and up and hot.
Okay.
All right, let's write about that. Let's write about.
I'm not gonna
I mean,
say
I
anything.
typically do that. I know y'all know, but I'm just kind of reminding you.
Yeah.
authentically, and it's been the greatest gift of all that people make it their wedding songs or invite it into their lives in that way. Find out more.
Yeah, they're enjoying the crap out of you ripping through right now. It's amazing.
In your hand. Win $1,000 every hour. Up to 16
I'm just bent I didn't go to the wedding last night. I was really upset. I didn't go to Serena's
I
wedding.
know, what the hell? Why didn't you go? I wanted to see you on the evening news.
Everybody was there, dude.
Do you know that Mackie Shilstone gave the vows? Like he was.
Get out, no way.
Serious?
Yes.
Our insiders are talking your teams. Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Welcome back, Duncan Holder. Jeff is literally fishing. I hope he catches a gigantic piece of salmon that is impossible to catch where he's going to go fish because that would be a total anomaly.
When's he gonna get salmon?
How's that gonna catch salmon, dude? Of all the fish that you could bring up in South Louisiana, you bring up salmon. I was gonna say, man, when did we get transplanted to Washington?
I can be a jokester sometimes,
Oh,
Clyde.
man, yeah,
of course,
I know.
that's the voice of Clyde Verdun, who's sitting in the big boy chair for at least for another 20 minutes.
I know, and hopefully I'll be able to leave and come back for a little to be able to close out the show. I feel like I'm doing a yeoman's work right now.
Well, you basically heard me rant about a certain person.
I know,
YouTube gets to hear about him in the commercial breaks.
And they
too.
are enjoying it. Shout out to our YouTubers.
Absolutely. But why did we not get into the wedding? I tried to sneak in. I got thrown to the ground by security. I could not get into Serena Williams' wedding. Look, it was the talk of the town after the show. I'm telling you, all over the place, people were talking about avoiding traffic and doing this and that, and people were wondering how to get into the Serena Williams wedding.
Well, the biggest thing was they did a great job of shrouding it in secrecy of like, oh, where's it going to be? Is it going to be here? It's going to be it's going to be downtown. It's going to be here. And eventually my wife called me and she told me, oh, hey, yeah. So, looked across the street, saw Serena and Kim Kardashian West and all these people, and it was like, oh, so that's where it is. Naturally, nearly near at the back end, close towards the interstate, not far from the National World War II Museum.
I don't get giddy about, say, sports peeps and their look. Say if Tom Brady walked in and be like, "Hey, Tom, how you doing?"
Yeah.
But I'm a tennis guy. I'm geeked about Serena Williams.
All I know is that Mackie Shilstone's next op-ed we get him to write better be. I don't care about sports.
He published one today. He didn't even write about it.
I expect that next week
Because Mackie is Serena's fitness guru, and look, she's even given him shout-outs in ESPN interviews at like the Australian Open.
Yeah, which has got to be awesome.
Exactly.
That's gotta be so cool.
That's Mackie, but yeah, don't forget he writes a weekly column for us here at NOLA.com the Times. You know who is also a little bit under the radar, he's kind of getting hidden, as Michael Thomas, and he deserves obviously to be out there because he's one of the best receivers in the league.
Yeah.
And yet he's he's fourth in the league in receptions, eighth in the league in receiving yards, and yet he doesn't even lead the Saints in receiving touchdowns. And at least He's not complaining on some sort of social media thing, how he's not being fed and it's business decisions and yada, yada, yada. Look, everyone in that locker room right now has got the right attitude. He's got the right attitude, too. So, look, we caught up with Michael Thomas. I asked a couple questions within this interview, but our own Josh Katzenstein and some other reporters did. So I just figured, why not we play it? It's about 4.5 minutes. Let's hear what Michael Thomas had to say earlier this week.
You think Sunday was your best game this year?
I feel like, it was, the second half of the season. I wanted to, add more. I'm always constantly trying to add more, so I'm trying to build off that game and see where I can take it. I feel like that game if you watch how I played the other games previously, I kind of got started more so in the second half of the game, then I kind of heated up. But that game I started to heat up early from the first play and then kind of just built from that. So, at the end of the day, when it comes to when the ball's in the air and it's thrown to me, I'm just trying to catch it.
What about after the catch? There was that one play you got down to like the 5 where, you made the tough catch and then you ran through the guy that was covering you.
Yeah.
And how much pride do you take in something like that?
I was honestly trying to score, but, I knew how important it is. Coach emphasized how to protect the ball. Don't be selfish, don't fight for extra yards. We have more plays, so eventually I had to tuck that ball because someone could be coming from behind me, and that was a crucial situation to get points on the board. So, I feel like, I want to always try to make that next guy miss and make a big play, explosive play, but it is what it is. I moved the change and still put points on the board, so we're still good.
Is there something tangible in this locker room this year? It's both sides of the ball bonding together.
I feel like we kind of always had that. We never really had a bad locker room. I feel like we're just.
That's because Junior Galette's not in there.
Doing our job. And, leaders are leading, and other guys are following. And that's basically how we're doing it. We're taking it one game at a time. We're not really complicating it. We're not asking guys to be superheroes or make every play. It's more so just do your job and simple as that.
But with all the dancing and the pictures and stuff, just how much fun are y'all having?
You still have to have fun, of course. Those plays guys aren't. If you look across the league, many guys aren't doing things that we're doing here, and you still want to have some type of pride. You still want to have fun and and do it the right way. You only celebrate after you do something. You can't just celebrate after if you're not doing anything. So those guys are just showing their juice, and I feel like it's nothing wrong with it at all.
Do you figure the only way to get a touchdown now is to be a running back because all they do is run them in?
Yeah, but eventually I know. I'm not. It's not necessarily like I'm being stopped. Other guys are just making the most out of their opportunities and they're scoring before we have a pass attempt drawn up. I feel like eventually the box might get loaded and I might have to make a big catch, or Drew might just need me and I have to make a play. So I'm not really worried about that. I know I can heat up at any time.
So no jet sweeps or wildcat requests from you? None of that?
If that's what we need to score points, or if that's what Coach Payton sees in defense that play's gonna work, then I'll run it. But I feel like I still have all the ability to score a lot more.
Was Sean's stat accurate? You caught 9 passes on 8 different routes, or maybe subtle differences? It wasn't quite that many different routes.
That's what I heard. I don't really pay attention. I just try to catch them all, and wherever the formation lines me up and places me, I try to win and beat the guy across from me. That's it.
So you said earlier, you're trying to win, each play or whatever. If you catch the ball and it's on you, is that you consider?
What did you say?
You said you're like you went one. You said earlier, I went 1 for 1 on that play. Is that your approach? If the ball comes your way, you catch it, and that's winning the play. Or is it?
Do what you can, but also protect the ball and don't hurt this team. Don't send us backwards, but move the chains. And I'm always trying to at least get the first down more. So just trying to be a difference maker ultimately at the end of the day.
And I know you saw that stat. You're one of the quickest to 150 catches. What does that mean?
I take a lot of pride in just catching the ball, whether it's a bad ball, a good ball, if it's in my vicinity, or if I have a chance, or if my hands touch it, I'm trying to come down with it. So I feel like I'm going to catch a lot of balls for the rest of my life.
All right, that's it.
He's going to catch them for the rest of his life.
That's a record if you're playing in your 70s.
See?
Yeah,
record if you're playing in your 70s.
That would be a record. And he'd be able to top Tom Brady in his crackpot theories of trying to play till he's 45.
How about no jet sweeps and no wildcats?
Although I wouldn't mind, though, because, if you saw that coming, you'd be like, wait, what is going on? We were not prepared for this.
They don't need to do that. Michael Thomas, if they need him in a pinch, they will find him. And back shoulder catch, fade route, touchdown. But that's the thing.
Yeah.
When the Saints are leading the NFL in rushing touchdowns, Yeah, you're doing it right.
And when he still has 662 receiving yards so far, he's already halfway to his total for the entirety of the 2016 season already.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's legit.
He's pretty good.
There's no doubt about that.
And I love his attitude.
He could easily become the first Saints Pro Bowl receiver they've had under the Sean Payton, Drew Brees era. So it's coming at some point. I guarantee you that. So what else is coming? Prep football action. Let's hear what Jim Derry has to say about this week's Week 2 of the Prep Football Playoffs. So we will hear from him next here. Sports1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Duncan Holder.
Swimming down deep in the creek for the crickets and the critters and the squirrels. Shake it to the moon, shake it for me, girl. Oh, country girl, shake it for me, girl. Shake it for me, girl.
Sing it, bro, country.
Break it, call me, girl.
Singing some bro country.
Thank you, Dave, for keeping my mic hot so I could get another Junior Galette.
That was so good. Such a burn. Good burn. Good burn.
Yeah.
Coming into the season on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
I can't stop saying it.
Deals. Get a family 4-pack to the
He angers me so much.
It's Larry Holder Rips Junior Galette Day.
He angers me so much.
The Watoto Walk, the Playful Monkeys, or the Mysterious White Alligator.
That's
Go to
awesome.
Sports, AM1280.com. Keyword deals.
Hey, Dave, let me get a request for one of these YouTubers. Can we get the much better version of Life is a Highway by Rascal Flatts? That would be fantastic. Thank you.
Let me see if I can find it. Yeah.
If you can find it, yeah, you can. Awesome.
And self-doubt, to phone habits, social media, and finding happiness.
If you want to sing like Cartman, yeah, totally do that. Totally do that.
For both you and your partner. Experience the Sleep Number bed exclusively at one of their 550 stores at sleepnumber.com/drive.
Whoa. Derry has Evangel beating Rummel 44-14.
That's not a terrible prediction.
My word.
All right, we got Derry.
All right, cool.
When used as
Jim
directed,
Derry,
it can
what
cause serious problems if you take too much.
Holy
What we want
Toledo.
people to know is to not
you, man.
eat
That's not good.
4,000 milligrams a day.
Look, the fact that they went up, they have to go to, and here's the thing, like they have to go back to Shreveport for the second week.
Association, she says it's important to read labels and to make sure you're not taking more than one medication at a time that contains acetaminophen.
So we always say double test, but don't double up.
Researchers in Chicago have confirmed the first case of the brain-wasting disease CTE in a living former NFL player who since died at the age of 59.
Let's give Junior a call. Let's get him on the show.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure he's not busy. What time are they leaving today? Or tomorrow to get here?
The first step toward understanding
he
how the
plays about
disease
7 plays a
develops
game, so
and working
yeah,
on
I can
a
get him
cure. Health update. Sarah Lee Kessler,
We'll have to be
NBC
on
News Radio.
Sirius XM.
Yeah, because there's going to be lots of cursing.
Be a cursing
high school sports. You need to know about Positive Coaching Alliance.
Like, hey, yeah, you son of a
is a
what?
national nonprofit organization.
No, you, bro, you.
Better
That
people
guy.
through youth and high school sports.
I
For
gotta
more
stop.
information, visit positivecoach.org.
But it's such low-hanging fruit.
Put $1,000 in your hand. Win $1,000 every hour. Up to 16 times a day. Weekdays. Starting at 5 a.m. When you hear the keyword, text it to 200-200. Listen all day for a chance to put $1,000 in your hand on Sports 1280, New Orleans. This is Duncan Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Man, the YouTubers are getting their music requests in. It's day 2, and Dave is taking care of them over there.
See, I feel like this is how the symmetry of the show works. We the YouTubers are good. We throw them a bone every now and then. We're going to make sure to get some of their questions on, and because this is how the show works. It's engaging and interactive.
There you go. Well, let's interact with our own Jim Derry, of course, prep guru here at NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune, and another busy prep football weekend, playoffs in week 2. And Jim Derry, how are you, my friend, and where are you headed tonight?
It only gets crazier from here. It's second round action in the non-select and quarterfinals in the select. So I am headed to the land of the Mannings tonight, Newman High School, Lupin Field. We'll be there for the Regis Radiator NOLA.com prep game of the week. It's Newman. It's St. Thomas Aquinas. It's the quarterfinals of Division III.
Jim, there's so many games. It's hard for me to say, pick out your favorite game, because I'm just scanning through your capsules at NOLA.com, and I don't even know where to begin. So obviously you're going to Newman, but Which games, one or two, that really intrigue you the most? But because obviously every game is intriguing at this point.
Well, the one we're going to tonight I'm excited about because you have two excellent quarterbacks, and Martin Butcher for Newman, Cade Bleakley for St. Thomas Aquinas. And even though it's a 2 versus a 10 matchup, and you're talking about Newman that's coming in at 10-0, Aquinas is hot. They've won 4 in a row, and their win in Week 10 against Amite was, Amite probably was headed towards the number 1 seed in Class 2A, and then they lose to Aquinas, and they end up the 3 seed. So I think tonight, this is, you've got two teams that are on the younger side, and it could be a matchup that we see maybe next year as maybe even as far as the Dome. So I'm very interested to see what happens tonight. I know it's going to be a excited crowd over at Newman, so we're looking forward. We were there about 5 or 6 weeks ago and for the Riverside game, and it's just a great place to watch a high school football game. Looking forward to going back. And then the other one that's high up on my radar tonight is at Destrehan. Destrehan is hosting Barb. I had picked Barb to win the state championship, and you don't usually get a matchup quite this good this early. But this 8-9 matchup between a 9-2 Destrehan team and a 10-1 Barb team, it's going to be a really good one. And I think the winner of this has a chance to make themselves a run. And again, I picked Barb to go to the Dome, so we'll see what happens there.
Jim, obviously, we were talking about this a lot last week when we started our prep coverage, but one of the games, and I want you to really go in depth on this one. One of the games that we thought about or talked about trying to see if we could do is Landry Walker going on the road to face Acadiana. Landry Walker 8-3 on the season, Acadiana 10-1. Just talk a little bit about this matchup and talk a little bit about how going up against a very usually famed Acadiana team on the road is a tough challenge, but Landry Walker might actually be one of the teams to actually, maybe make this more interesting than what people might be giving it credit for.
Yeah, this is a tough draw for the Charging Bucks. Even with a 14 seed, you expect a tough draw, but to have to go to Acadiana in the second round and play a team, Ted Davidson is one of the, if you want to call him legendary coaches around the state, he's one of those ones at the upper echelon, the not quite to JT's level, but you want to talk about the Hank Tierneys and those kinds of coaches, but the Jay Ross up there with those guys. And Ted has won state championships. Acadiana has 4 titles over the past 11 years, so they know how to win state championships. But Landry Walker, it's a similar team to last year, as they lost their first 3 games this year, lost their first 2 last year, and then won 13 in a row, and now they're at 8 in a row right now. But I don't know. We're going to see what they're made of tonight. They struggled last week in the first round, which kind of opened my eyes, I guess, a little bit, because I thought maybe they could have that little run in them. But I'm not sure that they're going to be able to go out there. If they pull this one off, then I got to pick them for the Dome the rest of the way, because this would be a monumental surprise, I would say.
Jim Derry, NOLA.com, Times Picayune, Preps Guru, joining us right here on Dunc and Holder. Clyde Verdun is sitting in the big chair for Jeff Duncan as he is literally going fishing. I mean, Jim, this is absurd. He just gets to go fishing, and we gotta fill it. Anyway,
fishing?
Yes, literally fishing. Literally, yeah. That's the Jeff way.
A football columnist is fishing in November.
Hey, well, he's going with the voice of the city, Jim Henderson. So what are you going to do? But anyway, all right.
And that's different.
Exactly. That's why I said go have fun, Jeffrey. Hey. Anyway, okay. I'm gonna defer to my mom because she literally just texted me, and she wants to hear about Lakeshore and Tioga. My younger brother went to Lakeshore, and look, we've talked. I've asked you about Lakeshore before. Look, they won their first playoff game last year. Obviously, they trounced Pearl River, but is this a matchup where we really get to see? Okay, where's Lakeshore at going in this playoffs?
Yeah, this is certainly one of them. Going on the road in your second week after your first playoff win in school history, you're 11-0, you're flying high, you haven't had any real challenges so far this season, really. The best team they probably played this year is probably La Ranger, and they played them early in the season without key starters were missing for LaRanger. So, yeah, going on the road, and even though Tioga's 7-4, and I think Lakeshore should win, this will kind of tell us what's in store for next week, because next week they're going to play, if they were to win this one, they're going to play the Neville McDonough 35 winner. And that, if they can make it that far, then we'll really know if they're a championship contender or not. But this will be the first, like, true test of them going on the road and facing something they haven't really faced so far this year. So I think Lakeshore should win. You can tell your mom. I know we haven't given Lakeshore probably enough love as they deserve, and they're only like 2 miles from my house. But and my son went there as well. But I think this team, if they prove it, and they say we're 11-0, we shouldn't have to prove it. Well, you do. And if they can win this week, and then go next week and play another team that has a chance to make it to the Dome, whoever wins McDonough 35 and Neville has an excellent chance to make it to the Dome, then I'll believe, and there'll be no more doubting.
One more, because I can't get you off the radio without it.
Oh, boy.
Rummel going to Evangel, and look at this score you predicted. You picked Evangel to win by 30? Come on, 30?
Yeah. Well, Rummel's not in a very good spot here.
Got a minute and a half.
I'm not sure if you've seen it this week, but they lost probably the number one recruit in the state, and Jamar Chase is out for the season now with a knee injury. And they were already minus several key offensive linemen. Some other kids that are gone. They have one starting running back left, although the kid that filled in last week, the freshman that came in last week, played pretty well. But, this is just a daunting task. Evangel doesn't lose at home in the playoffs. And to have to travel up there a second straight week without Jamar Chase, and they're going to have
1 minute
to be rested upon Chandler Field's shoulders and Terrell Jackson, the running back, to some extent. But this task is just way too much for Evangel. But I tell you what, look at John, you want to talk about real quick one more, throwing it in there.
You got about 15 seconds.
I don't mean to dish your team, Larry, but John Curtis St. Paul's should be an exciting with the Tron tonight. So
I don't blame you.
Make sure everybody listens to us, Newman, Regis Radio and NOLA.com.
Newman taking on Newman taking on St. Thomas Aquinas. Of course, listen to it every week. Jim Derry does a great job. All right, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Hour number 1 is up. Hour number 2 is on the way. Saints
10.
Redskins talk all throughout hour number 2. So come on back. Sports1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. Duncan Holder.
Gary LaVox here from Rascal Flatts.
Just got it in.
Seems like there's never enough time to get done what you have to. It's easy to get wrapped up in work and the busyness of life.
Yeah.
But sometimes
Come back if you want.
people you care about most
hopefully
get the least of your time.
You can.
As you chase your dreams, don't forget the people that mean the most to you.
Cool.
Your friends, family, kids.
We're buying a quad for YouTubers.
Hopefully I'll come back, guys. I promise.
And I hope for you too.
Meetings are dumb.
This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
No, they're not. Mostly.
It's finally here! Macy's Black Friday preview. An extra 10 to 20% off with our Macy's Carter Savings Pass.
Wow, you're really excited, aren't you?
Plus incredible specials every day.
Okay, calm down.
Look what we can get for $19.99 and under.
Love it. Sweaters, jackets, denim.
Plus big savings on family PJs.
Sheets and comforters.
Must shop now.
Okay, now I'm getting worried.
You can't miss Macy's Black Friday preview. Savings off sale prices. Exclusions apply.
WODT WNOE FM HD2 New Orleans. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app. Search Sports 1280. Fox Sports trending now.
And the water faucet continues to drip with news of the Jerry Jones-Roger Goodell feud. According to a report by ESPN, when NFL Commissioner Goodell informed the Cowboys owner that Ezekiel Elliott was going to be slapped with a 6-game suspension for his alleged domestic violence case, Jones told Goodell, quote, "I'm going to come after you with everything I have," end quote. And then summing this up in nicer terms, he essentially said, if you think Bob Kraft came after you hard. I'm going to make him look like a lightweight. And you can read for yourself what was actually said. Meanwhile, college football news, TCU quarterback Kenny Hill will not play Saturday against Texas Tech. NBC Dallas reporting that Hill is dealing with a concussion, so it'll be freshman Sean Robinson getting to start for the Horned Frogs. Your MVPs in the AL, Astros second baseman Jose Altuve, Giancarlo Stanton of the Marlins in the NL.
Okay. Introducing the all-new Hisense Smart TV series. Packed with premium features like Ultra LED technology, 4K resolution, and high dynamic range, the Hisense Smart TVs produce vibrant images and enhanced contrast that are unapologetically amazing. Not to mention, they also come equipped with entertainment must-haves like Ultra Smooth Motion for fast-moving scenes and iHeartRadio for all your favorite music and live stations. Smart, immersive, and easy to use. Grab your Hisense Smart TV at select Best Buy stores today.
Live and local, weekday mornings 8 to 10. Chris Gordy.
Les Miles join us. Coach, good morning. How are you, sir?
Enjoying the day, and everything's great.
Hey, Coach, I want to throw you a wild card because you're a guy that can handle a wild card question every once in a while. Coach O this week, for some reason, brought up chicken on a stick was his favorite food when he was in Oxford with Ole Miss. Are you a food on a stick fan? And if so, what's your favorite food on a stick?
I am not a food on a stick fan. I've not ever had a corn dog, for instance, and I have the kind of food that I like. If it needs to be killed, you run it down and kill it, and then cook it, and then you would enjoy that food, not necessarily on a stick. And food on a stick is something that you want to take somewhere. Right, I mean, you want to eat it on the run, and I seldom eat it, while moving.
I remember years ago you said you were celebrating a victory on the plane. You said you had several nutty bars on the plane. I'll never forget that. That was
okay. Now I mean, there's that. They're called. I think you could have an ice cream on a stick. It certainly works. But that would be the only thing. There wouldn't be any other food.
That's pretty funny. Chris Gordy Show, weekday mornings 8 to 10 on Sports 1280. New Orleans.
Sensory sensitivity, repetitious behavior, lack of eye contact. You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Twitter can pull your check mark if you don't behave. Social Network is out with some new guidelines for its verification program and will remove the official check mark of a user that has content that incites hate and harassment, indicates violent or dangerous behavior, or violates any of their rules.
Whoa,
Twitter's official badge indicates
take the
company
blue check
has verified
away?
the person's
Whoa.
identity and is usually reserved for celebrities, journalists, and popular personalities. Sports Illustrated headed to the
Dude, that must be awesome. Celebrities,
Illustrated TV
journalists,
will
and
initially launch
popular
on the Amazon
personalities.
channels,
Hey,
and
that's
for $4.99 a
me.
month, users will get a mix of documentary series,
Sorry, you
studio
too.
shows,
I'm a
and a
goober.
package of sports movies. It will not air any live sporting events. Netflix says almost 70% of people watch movies and TV shows now in public. A study commissioned by the video streaming service says the most popular public places to stream are on planes, buses, or commuting. 7% of respondents worldwide said they had watched shows in public restrooms. Tech Report.
1 minute.
Olson, NBC News Radio.
So I'm looking at Twitter, and our buddy Josh Innes.
Oh boy.
This fucking asshole.
Whoa, you're on YouTube.
Hi, YouTube. Sorry.
Celebrated with iHeartRadio fans from.
God dang it. Well, YouTube's not FCC regulated.
No, it's not.
Yeah, so somebody tweeted at him, sure wish there was effort like this put into your NOLA show at Sports 1280.
Oh, my.
And because he's doing some Philly podcast
saw
called Yo
that.
Josh.
I saw
Yeah,
that.
and he's like, well, plenty of effort was put in the New Orleans show. More people react to and find this podcast than found that show. Then why does Duncan Holder beat the crap out of you with like 20-something thousand downloads, you son of a... It's roaches.
Man.
You know? Dude, I mean, he was doing good for a while, but he just stopped giving a crap. You know? And so, like, he peaked out at about, like, 7,000 or 8,000 downloads, and then he just stopped because he stopped.
Right.
Yeah. Son of a frickin' rack-a-frack.
Obviously, we're not stopping.
Sounds good, doesn't it?
Nope. All right, here we go. 5 seconds.
All right, we're going to play the Armstead interview in this block.
Okay.
Cool. Dunc and Holder, hour number 2 on a Friday, November 17th. Clyde has exited stage left. I have a empty chair here, so it's going to be me, Dave, and the listeners on the rest of the way on the second hour. If you missed the first hour, me going on a Junior Galette rant, having Jim Derry on talking about prep football action coming up tonight. You missed it, Sports1280.com, NOLA.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube page. Look, we got plenty of Saints-Redskins talk this hour. Next segment, we will hear from Dianna Russini, who covers the NFL for ESPN. She'll join us. She's covering the game in New Orleans this weekend. And also joining us from the Washington Post, Master Tesfatsion. He's the beat reporter covering the Redskins for the Washington Post. We will have him on around 11:30, 11:35. And look, all hour we're talking Saints, Redskins. And look, I had a chance to catch up with, earlier this week, Terron Armstead. I promised the interview yesterday. I basically lied to your face and to your ears and made your ears bleed because I thought we were going to play it yesterday. But all of a sudden, I thought we were only going to have one interview. We had 2, then we had 3, and then we had college picks, and it ran out of time. So, but what better place to put it on a Friday as we're talking a lot about the NFL, of course. And look, you look at Terron Armstead, and just look at the block he pulled on the Drew Brees run for a touchdown against Buffalo. He might not be completely 100%, but he's about as close as you can get. And he just threw a defensive end. It's not like he's throwing a 180-pound cornerback. He threw a guy who's 260 and just tossed him like a rag doll. And look, the offensive line is playing tremendous, and it's a huge reason why the Saints team is where it's at. Won 7 in a row, on the verge of winning 8 in a row. They're a near double-digit favorite against Washington coming up on Sunday. And I'll give you my prediction at the end of the show. If you go to my 1st and 10 column, it's already up. So, if you want to just ruin my entire tease, you can go read it. But here's Terron Armstead. Had a chance to catch up with him, and look, he's fired up. Team's fired up, rightfully so. But there's a balancing act of being fired up and not, quote unquote, eating the cheese that Sean Payton likes to say. Don't eat the rat poison, yada yada yada. But I asked Terron about that and some other topics. So here is myself and one Saints left tackle, Terron Armstead.
Kind of deflect the talk that's surrounding, look, people, you're 7-2, potentially one of the best teams in the NFL. How do you embrace that and kind of deflect that at the same time?
We haven't accomplished anything yet. That's the biggest thing. We got goals. We got plans on this seed for this season. We haven't accomplished those plans yet. First thing is winning the NFC South, which is still a close race. So a lot of football ahead. We gotta keep our heads down, keep moving.
Is it kind of a good thing that they're 8-1, 7-2 teams, and Carolina's kind of on your tail at 7-3? Is that kind of a good thing to kind of?
Yeah, I mean, NFC is close.
Right.
NFC is stacked right now. So, like I said, we haven't did what we came to do yet. The 7-game win streak has been amazing. We got to keep going. We got to keep stacking up the wins week to week and see how the rest of the NFC shapes out.
Because every other team's stacking up wins. Do you kind of keep? Do you keep an eye on that? I mean, do players? I mean, does coaches say like, look, just because you guys, we
know, regardless of what anybody say, we know. I mean, you have to pay attention to not so much the standings, but who's playing well and who's not. And it's a lot of teams right at the top, and it's gonna be a close race. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
What's the challenges that Washington's kind of defense presents for you and just the offense as a whole?
Washington got a really good team. From top to bottom, really good team. They had some tough losses to some good teams. They've also beat some really good teams. Those guys are physical. Got some heavy guys in the middle. Got some speed on the outside. So this is going to be an extremely tough challenge for us, offensively and defensively. But we have to be ready.
How are you physically? You feeling good? Obviously, you look good. I mean, we've talked enough about you, your blocks and throwing people about 30 yards down the field. I mean, physically, how you feel?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. I'm still working on things. Still trying to get healthy. Still trying to get close to 100% as I possibly can. I mean, that's not going to happen until after the season, but I'm all right. I'm having fun. I get a chance to go out there on Sunday with the guys, and that's all that matters to me.
What about when you watch that tape and you see, I know Zach's not out there, but Ryan's, and it's first time in a long time it's been kind of the guys you figured would be out there.
Our line, not including me. Those other 4 guys have been amazing. Like watching them, I was watching the tape, watching them just those double teams, coming off on backwards. I mean, those guys have been amazing. Like I'm still trying to find my way in a lot of areas. Not practicing much. So during the game, I'm doing things that I would be doing in practice, trying to try some stuff because I haven't had the reps.
Sure.
Watching those guys, man, it's extremely exciting. I'm extremely amazed, extremely impressed. And Larry come back and just doesn't miss a beat. Armstead is playing outrageous. Andrew Pete is a monster.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the improvement with him.
Oh, for
you
sure.
can see it.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, man, I think we got the best O-line in the league, and that's not talking about me at all. That's talking about the rest of those other 4 guys, and then Cineo and Josh Rodriguez. It's sky's the limit. We're young. We're just getting started.
Yeah. What's kind of the biggest difference? Say you say that group is so improved, and I mean it's one thing to make a whole hole every now and again, but it seemed like you guys are making holes in the running game, and they're not just these itty bitty hallways. I mean, they're pretty gaping holes, and it's like you could pick one or you could pick 2. And I mean, what's been the difference there?
It's a lot of factors to it. It's definitely the guys up front getting their job done, doing their assignment, but it's also those guys on our side. I don't think Brandon Coleman get enough credit. Willie Snead, Mike Thomas has some hell of blocks on Sunday. Ted Ginn didn't throw his body in. So who's ever in, I mean, we're all committed to it. Everyone is out there trying to help their brother, trying to help their brother succeed, and it's just all factors.
Look, you look at that offensive line, and it's been amazing, honestly, to see. And Terron's right. He says, look, it's not even about me. It's about all the other people. And the fact you got Terron, who is as healthy as probably as he can get, like he said. He's going to play through what he's playing through. Obviously, you play, you're not going to be able to rest and get healthy. But look, he looks as healthy as you're going to get. A 95% Terron Armstead is better than the vast majority of the offensive linemen in the NFL. And he mentioned bringing back Larry Warford. Look, I've been touting Larry Warford for months. I thought he was a very good signing. The fact you got him at market value, he's around $8 million a year. You didn't spend big bucks as far as with Kevin Zeitler. He went to Cleveland, and look, he's just rotting away with a paycheck up there, so good luck to him. But they did right with Larry Warford. You look at Ryan Ramczyk, to me, I think he might be one of the bigger surprises and undervalued surprises in the NFL. And oh, by the way, you don't have Zach Streep, who's still one of the better right tackles in the NFL. If you get him back, it goes to the depth of this offensive line, the way they're playing has been tremendous. And you cannot undervalue that. There's a reason why you got back-to-back FedEx Ground Player of the Week winners with Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram. The fact that you got 2 running backs who can win that award, granted it is fan voted, but you're nominated. And heck, Kamara and Ingram were both nominated in this award. It's amazing. The fact that you're doing all that, you got to put that on the offensive line because they've done an absolutely tremendous job. And look, they're going to be going up against a Redskins team that coming in, and they still have some playoff life in them. I know they're 4-5. They're kind of teetering on the edge. Maybe this could, if the Saints beat them, it's kind of an elimination game because so many teams are so good, just like I talked about with Terron. So many teams are so good that the fact that the Saints have won 7 games in a row, they've got to keep winning just to even stick into this race. And I do think it's a good thing, the fact that the Eagles are 8-1. You got Minnesota 7-2. You got the Rams 7-2. You got Carolina 7-3. And look, coming out of their locker room, you go look at the Charlotte Observer, some of the things they're writing. Ed Dixon saying, look, they're not backing down. They're coming for the Saints. So I think the Saints know they've kind of got a target from them, and yet everyone around them is a target. And they've got to continue to keep this up just to stay in the mix, because you look at the NFC, the top 10 teams in the NFC are 5-4 or better. The Buffalo Bills are 5-4, and they're the 6th seed in the AFC. The AFC is not that strong at all, even though, look, Pittsburgh put it to Tennessee last night. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I think the NFC teams would beat either one of those teams. So I don't think that's the issue here. And so you look at the Saints, big game, because they've got certainly a tough stretch after this Washington game, and I'm curious to see how they react. I've wondered if the Saints would have a letdown game at some point. And look, I talked with Terron about this in the locker room off mic. We talked about, you thought maybe the Buffalo game would be a down game. You thought the Bears game could have been a down game. Look, and I talked to Terron as much as I possibly can for columns and just seeking him out in the locker room, because he's gotten comfortable in his skin. He can kind of tell you like it is, and he knows that the Saints have been kind of fortunate in making mistakes and overcoming those mistakes, and that's the sign of a good team. The fact that they put it all together last week, and I wrote that in my column after the game in Buffalo. That Saints team, that's the first time I've really, and it wasn't even picture perfect. Look, they missed a field goal. Josh Hill fumbled the football away. Like, you could nitpick on some things, and it wasn't completely perfect, but that was about the cleanest game we've seen this year from them. And if that's their clean game, they will beat any team in the NFL. And Terron told me that after the Buffalo game, and he's right. They would beat any team in the league without an issue if they play that well every week. I just think this team, sometimes you're going to find some hiccups, and yet this team is good enough to overcome them. So, look, it's going to be an interesting game this week. Vegas figures that the Saints should win this game and win it pretty handsomely. Could it happen? Sure, but you never know. And I think the Saints are in that mode that they know they're 7-2, they know that they're rolling, and yet they got to keep the pedal down. A, because the competition around them is coming for them, and B, that he's right. They haven't proven anything. They're 7-2. Guess what? They have not made the playoffs. They have not made the playoffs since 2013. I know the national media is jumping on board, but they have not proven anything yet, because they have not gotten to the postseason. They have not won a game. They have not gotten to the Super Bowl. They have not gotten any of those places. So I think this locker room has the right attitude. I think Sean Payton's pressing all the right buttons. I think Drew Brees is in there getting guys in line. And look, a guy like Armstead, a guy like Cam Jordan, I think all of these people, they're all in sync. And I think that's going to bode well for this team going forward. So coming up next here, ESPN's Dianna Russini is going to join us. She's going to be in town covering the game, so we will catch up with her. She's covered all the good teams, I'm sure, so we'll get her thoughts on this game and kind of the scope of the NFL. So Dianna Russini from ESPN coming up next here, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
Your shot at $1,000 now. Text the keyword WIN to 200-200. You'll get a text confirming entry plus iHeartRadio info. Standard data and message rates apply. That's WIN to 200-200.
Action-packed.
He's at the 5, cuts back in. He's in the end zone. Alcalon, he's got it in the end zone. Touchdown, Tulane.
Hard hit.
Running left side on the Aruna's got him. Asking you shall receive. They don't get it. We win.
This is Tulane football. Tulane hosts Houston this Saturday on the home of Brainwave football.
Sports 1280 New Orleans.
I don't know why I was spared.
Hollywood heavyweight Julia Roberts says she's never experienced sexual harassment in the entertainment industry firsthand.
I almost feel bad saying that.
Appearing on NBC's Today Show to promote her new film, Wonder, Roberts addressed the growing sexual harassment scandal in Hollywood.
Perhaps I was subtly approached and didn't recognize it for what it was, or I don't know.
She said she felt very lucky not to know her female colleagues' pain firsthand, but was nevertheless very troubled by the allegations that have emerged. Meantime, a class action lawsuit targeting disgraced movie.
All right, we got him.
Weinstein and his former film companies. The suit
Cool.
filed by an unnamed actress claims Weinstein regularly used a casting couch to harass and sexually assault hundreds of women.
Cause you're a sky full of stars.
Coldplay frontman Chris Martin will be playing himself on an upcoming Modern Family episode. Billboard claims the role in the ABC comedy features actor Ty Burrell's character Phil Dunphy trying to sell the singer a house. Singer Melissa Etheridge is avoiding jail time in her marijuana possession case. She was given a sentence of 6 months unsupervised probation and will have to pay $1,000 in fines. Etheridge says she uses marijuana to treat cancer. That's entertainment. Jennifer Bolsoni, NBC News Radio.
iHeartRadio Music Festival. Our sold out 2017 iHeartRadio Music Festival from Las Vegas.
Dave, we got Dianna, right?
One stage. Over
Yeah, Russini, yeah.
Yeah, all right, because you said we got him, and I said, oh.
Oh, I thought I said her. Okay. Yeah, my bad. No, we got Dianna.
Okay,
sold out 2017 iHeartRadio.
Awkward.
Hey, Thomas Rhett, The Weeknd.
It's like, yeah, hey, Dianna, and it's like, hey, it's Master. Just kidding.
Festival, Wednesday the 22nd and Friday the 24th on NOLA.38, the CW.
The sound drop from Pepsi.
Hey guys, I'm Max. Lights Down Low, I wrote for my wife and I proposed to her with it. I knew I was gonna marry her. I knew she was gonna be the mother of my children. I knew. We all just were like, let's write about that. Let's write about when you know, that energy of knowing you have to just create it authentically. And it's been the greatest gift of all that people make it their wedding songs or invite it into their lives in that way. Find out more at thesounddrop.com.
You know I like my chicken fried and cold beer on a Friday night. A pair of jeans that fit just right.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Welcome back to the show. Pleased to be joined by ESPN's Dianna Russini. She's been globe-trotting the NFL all season long. She's seen all the good teams. She's probably seen some bad teams, but she's making her way back to New Orleans this weekend. Saints taking on the Redskins. And Dianna, I saw you a couple weeks ago here in town. You were covering the Saints, and we talk and we're wondering, all right, is this team for real? And look, now it seems like a couple weeks removed, and the Saints have become one of the bigger stories in the NFL. Just you look at the way the Saints are playing and the way they've kind of built this thing up. What's kind of your perspective on this team as far as being one of the better teams in the NFL right now?
I'll probably start off by looking back at the draft. I remember working that day, and, you know, in between commercial breaks, we'd all be chatting about, you know, who's doing what and who's winning, sort of stuff that you maybe wouldn't say on television. And I'll say we wound up having a lot of conversations about what the Saints were doing, whether by choice or just by pure luck in the draft. And my one takeaway from what I now recall, and it's kind of funny to look back on it, was how many people at ESPN thought that the Saints did a heck of a job in the draft. And I wasn't really sold, to be perfectly honest with you. I thought they were okay. I still was very, very concerned about the defense. In fact, most of the preseason, that was a lot of the topics that we discussed on a lot of the NFL Live shows of, all right, what is Sean Payton going to do to make sure this defense it's got to get better. They're not going to have a winning record unless they make those improvements. And now here we are. And I got to tell you, I was supposed to be the Titans reporter this year, meaning start the season with Nashville and just ride with them, because that's sort of what we thought. We thought they were going to be the hottest team. And they've done a great job this season. But I did not think that the New Orleans Saints were going to be the hottest team in the NFL. No way.
No, I didn't either, obviously. I've covered this team long enough, and look, we've talked about it, and it's like, oh, they're 7-9 again. Oh, this is the most boring storyline in the NFL. It's Jeff Fisher 2.0, and yet, look, they've won 7 in a row. They're easily favored to become 8 in a row with a win possibly on Sunday against Washington. But you look at kind of the way the Saints done it. You mentioned the defense, and obviously that's been a big storyline. for years because the defense has been so pathetic for so long. And you mentioned the draft. They've got two rookies starting. They had a third with Alex Anzalone, but he's out for the year. Well, potentially out for the year. He's on injured reserve right now. But you look at, say, a Marshawn Lattimore and the way he's been able to step up and play. Just seeing the scope of that. Look, the Saints haven't seen a shutdown corner on their roster, I don't know, maybe ever. So how much do you feel like he has elevated, say, the play of the defensive line and the secondary and has kind of made this thing tick?
Here's what I want to know. What changed after the first two games? Because something did. We all saw it. We can see it. We can see it on tape. Something changed with what they are doing on defense. And it's definitely something worse probably if Larry hasn't written about it yet. Larry, I know you're all over it all the time. I would love to.
Thanks for the plug, Dianna.
Must read. There was definitely an adjustment made. Yes, Lattimore has been a tremendous contribution to this defense in making those improvements, but they do not look like the guys that they looked those first two games, nowhere even close. And you know what had me thinking, too, getting prepped for this weekend was, take this defense right now, and you said it clearly, that this Saints team is different than years past because the one part of their team is better than ever, and that's their defense. Imagine if they were able to land Josh Norman 2 years ago when they were chasing him down. It came down to the Redskins and the Saints in that 24-hour period where, Dan Snyder did what he is absolutely, he's just the best at doing, which is bringing guys in and not letting them leave. And the story goes from just speaking to both Jay Gruden and Josh Norman and Sean Payton through all this, especially when that was going down, how it went. And Sean Payton was on the cell phone with Josh Norman while he's sitting in the Redskins facility saying, you got to leave. You got to leave. You got to come down here. And then we all know what would happen there, and he wound up, playing for the Skins. But that's what I've been thinking about recently. Just could you imagine how good this defense could be with a Josh Norman-like kind of player? They're already good, but how it'd be an elite defense.
Yeah, and it's a storyline that, honestly, I haven't really thought about. So the fact that you brought it up, it's one that, look, they would have had to restructure Drew Brees' deal. And also, look, you look at the Saints, they were hot and heavy on Malcolm Butler. They did not get him. And it's funny how the pieces fall because they had been having to pay big money to Malcolm Butler or they had been paying big money to Josh Norman. And instead, they get Marshawn Lattimore. And with the pick, they get Ryan Ramczyk, who, look at that offensive line. They've played extremely well, and I'll pivot to, say, Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram. I have not seen a running game in New Orleans like this, even going back to Deuce McAllister and Reggie Bush. They were not as potent as these two. What's kind of your perspective on the fact that they're running the football and that Drew Brees, you can rattle off a bunch of aspects about the Saints, he might be fourth or fifth on the list. It's pretty amazing.
To think that we're talking about a Saints offense and the architects of it going, running the ball, that just doesn't go hand in hand with what we know. But it just goes to show you that they're smart enough doing what they're doing there on offense to figure out what works. And those two, not only are they fun to watch and they certainly electrified the city, I think their dynamic together as two players is really interesting. I love this brotherly relationship that they have, and there is a level of humility there just from the time that I've spent around them. They seem to be taking this win in, I want to say in stride, but I also know this coaching staff, from what I can tell, is all over these guys on making sure that they're not getting too excited about what they're doing, because none of it means anything unless you make that deep run into the postseason, which, the hiring of Mike Westhoff, by the way, I'm sorry that all these thoughts are coming to me here. To me, I thought that was one of the boldest moves I've seen this season in terms of a coaching, hiring, firing type of situation, because you could look at it as, why would you want to knock over the egg crate when things are going well? Most GMs, I think, would play it safe. We're winning 7 straight. Why make changes? But to look at it from a different lens and say, now's the time to make the improvements, because we're winning, and if we do want to make a deep run, we got to make those changes now. I think that tells you the type of team that they are from top to bottom.
Dianna Russini from ESPN. One more question, I'll let you go, and that's a great point. It's basically saying that the Saints, if they have an issue, they want to address it because they know this is the year, and they're not gonna mess around, and they're gonna make sure they get everything right because they don't want, say, special teams to be the reason why they may stub their toe and be out of the playoffs. But look, you've been around the country covering all the teams throughout the season. Where do you think the Saints fit in the pecking order as, say, best team in the NFC and best team in the NFL?
Ooh, hard one.
I know.
I'd give them probably, in the league, I'd say they're probably the sixth best team in the league right now. I'm still very concerned about the fact that their success has been because they're young. I just hope that's not something that's going to wind up biting them later on in terms of some of those mistakes that we've seen, some of the issues they have. Again, special teams, I'm interested to see the improvements they're going to make there now that Westhoff's going to be at the helm. But I think this is sort of the problem why I haven't 100% bought in. I'm excited for them. I think they're a fun team. They're good. But I still think there's parts of them that need to get better. They're not scary. And I know just from talking to the Redskins side of it, they're certainly not overlooking the New Orleans Saints, but they're not scared at all. They know this game is they know they're beatable and it's certainly winnable. And the Washington Redskins have their backs up against the wall. I don't think that Saints fans should be as confident as you would think with this Redskins team coming off a pretty bad loss to the Vikings, knowing that they got to win this one.
Dianna Russini from ESPN. She will be down here covering Saints, Redskins, and I assume she'll be covering the Saints a little more often than probably the Tennessee Titans.
I hope. I love it down there. So I can't wait. And you know, I'm in New York right now. It's 45 degrees, so I heard it's a nice 70, 80 degrees down there. So, hey, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, but a cold front's coming through this weekend. Look, it might be in the 60s. I mean, I'm going to be freezing. You are going to be like, hey, this is glory. So, hey, Dianna, appreciate the time, and I will be seeing you this weekend. Thanks.
I'll see you in a couple days. Bye, guys.
All right, bye. That's Dianna Russini from ESPN. We will go up to Washington, to the Washington Post. Master Tesfatsion is going to join us. He covers the Redskins for the Washington Post, so we will get that side of the coin coming up here next. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. With Dunc and Holder.
Your forecast on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
This report is brought to you by McDonald's.
Happy Friday from the Fox 8 Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Shelby Latino, and after we get rid of some patchy morning fog, we'll see mostly sunny skies with temperatures climbing into the upper 70s near the 80-degree mark this afternoon. It will be mostly sunny and dry as we go throughout the day, and tomorrow morning we'll start off in the low 60s on the North Shore and mid-60s on the South Shore with some more patchy fog. From the Fox 8 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shelby Latino. Have a great day.
Download the McDonald's app and get a free large soft drink with any purchase every week. And right now, get any size soft drink or sweet tea for just $1 anytime at McDonald's. Limited time. Participation may vary. See mcdapp.com for details. McDonald's. I'm loving it. Bet you didn't know this. Broadcast radio reaches more people in America than TV. Yeah, AM/FM radio. The radio that's free in your car, your kitchen, your office. Broadcast radio reaches more adults, teens, and millennials. More of everyone. More shoppers. Broadcast radio reaches 93% of Americans every week. That's bigger than TV, Facebook, and Google. If you're a marketer who needs to reach new fans, visit iHeartMedia.com for the one place everyone is listening. AM/FM radio.
As the opioid overdose death rate goes up, so do organ donations. The Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville, Florida, reporting that about 1 in 4 of their transplants this year have come from people who overdosed. Doctors there say many drug-related deaths are among young people whose organs...
All right, we got him.
Cool.
Him.
With nearly 50 million Americans expected to hit
yes, got it right.
Buckle up for life. Safety experts are urging parents to take extra precautions.
We know that there's a potential
1 minute.
Car as they travel to become a projectile, so we want parents to keep those extra items secured in the vehicle.
Cora Ochando, the Buckle Up National Program Coordinator, also says parents should make sure car seats are installed properly, and that means no more than an inch of wiggle room. Government statistics show that every 33 seconds, a child under the age of 13 is involved in a car accident. Health Update, Sarah Lee Kessler, NBC News Radio.
I don't really want a big discount on a new truck. Said no one ever. Get $11,000 off 2018 GMC Sierras, $11 grand off MSRP at Legacy Buick GMC in Slidell. GMC, we are professional grade. I don't really need a big discount on an SUV. Said no one ever. Get $12,000 off 2017 Buick Enclaves, $12 grand off MSRP at Legacy Buick GMC in Slidell. GMC, we are professional grade.
I haven't seen you in forever.
New Orleans sports talk about your favorite teams. Sports 1280.
Welcome back. Duncan Holder here. Larry Holder here. Jeff Duncan literally gone fishing today. He'll be back on Monday. But joining us right here on the show, Master Tesfatsion of the Washington Post, covers the Washington Redskins. And Master, you look at the Redskins and you see they're 4-5, and you look at some of the losses they had. Look, they lost 38-30 last week to the Vikings, and yet the week before they go up to Seattle and win. How enigmatic is this team? Because it seems like, look, you can go on the road and get a big win and then come home, and I know Minnesota is one of the better teams in the NFL right now, but how enigmatic is this team that the Saints are going to be facing on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest reason behind that is their injuries. I mean, it's impacted significantly not just their roster, but also the availability and the personnel that they have available to them, both on offense and defense. I mean, you're going into a game right now when this team doesn't even know if they're going to have Jordan Reed available, who, as the Redskins go through practice right now, he did not participate, which is not probably a good sign, especially on a Friday, that he would play with the hamstring injury that he suffered against the Cowboys, and he hasn't played ever since and has missed the last 2 games. And that impacts because essentially this offense was supposed to be built around Jordan Reed as the main option, and he's been dealing with some injuries, whether it's the toe or the hamstring now, that has impacted his offense, and they've had to go to other resources like Vernon Davis and Chris Thompson to find other ways to be effective and move the ball down the field. And you're seeing this essentially at almost every position. The offensive line in that Seattle game that they won, they were without 4 of their 5 starters. On the defensive line, you had Jonathan Allen and Matt Ioannidis who are bringing great interior pressure, particularly in their nickel package. Jonathan Allen's now on IR. Matt Ioannidis is practicing with the club after having hand surgery, and he looks like he's going to be available. But they've had to do a lot of shuffling. And, yeah, I know the next man up mentality is what the NFL is all about, but there's a significant difference when you go from Trent Williams to TJ Clemens. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
It doesn't matter what your mentality is. It doesn't matter how much you want to say next man up. There is a drastic difference in what you get from a certain position when you no longer have the star that you essentially had in week 1.
And, Master, you mentioned Chris Thompson. Look, he is the leading rusher and the leading receiver, as in receptions and in receiving yards. I'm assuming they went in the season. They didn't assume this would be the case, but what kind of challenges do you feel like Chris Thompson is going to present for the Saints?
No, they didn't at all. Even though they did give him a contract extension, they loved what he's capable of doing as a third down back because of his versatility as a runner, receiver, and also he's an exceptional. Despite his size, he's an exceptional pass blocker. But he's given his team a threat. I mean, you can dump the ball off to him. You can check him down. As you saw, there was a 4th down play against the Vikings where he runs a wheel route moving out of from the backfield into the slot, and he gains you about 30-some yards on that play. He is a versatile weapon. The biggest thing with them is that they limit his snap counts. Usually he plays about 50% of the games. It depends on whether the team is behind or not, because obviously if they're behind, they're going to need him more in passing situations. But he dealt with a lot of durability questions at the start of his career, and they don't want to overwork him because he's not built to be one of those 3-down backs. So you'll probably see him, I'd say, probably about 50% of the offensive snaps that they have, and depending on if they fall behind early, you may see a little bit more of him. But he is someone definitely that Saints fans and the Saints obviously should account for.
Master Tesfatsion of the Washington Post, joining us right here on Dunc and Holder. Larry Holder here with you. let's go a little local yokel here. Ryan Grant, of course, he's a Tulane Green waiver. And, look, Rob Kelly, I know he just went on IR. Look, how much of a blow is it to lose Rob Kelly? And B, the fact that I'm seeing Ryan Grant and he's got just as many receptions as Jordan Reed and a heck of a lot more than, say, Terrell Pryor and Josh Doxson. I know he's been injured, but look, losing Kelly, and what has Ryan Grant's role been like this year?
Yeah, we'll start with Kelly. It was a disappointing season for Kelly. He's dealt with a lot of injuries. He just could never get a rhythm. In week 2, he dealt with an injury against the Rams that set him back. It was a rib injury. Then 2 weeks later against the Chiefs, he deals with an ankle injury that ended up lingering, and eventually, again, obviously last week against the Vikings, he suffered a knee and an ankle injury that eventually put him on IR. And it was a disappointing season because the team had high expectations for him because of the way he was as an undrafted guy at Tulane, the way that he finished the second half last year. And he was kind of disappointed in himself because he understood how the injuries were kind of holding back the momentum that he wanted to gain from a week-to-week basis. So it'll be interesting to see moving forward what they do with that position, because obviously they drafted Samaje Perine, promising back out of Oklahoma, and perhaps they could add another back to that fold as well to try and compete. But in terms of Ryan Grant, he's been someone that has been a favorite of Jay Gruden here for years, because he does everything you're asked for. He does it well. He runs crisp routes. He's always reliable in terms of his hands, and he's gotten more time because of that. Jay Gruden's always been a guy that wants to reward people that practice well, and that has been the case so far here this season, as Grant's gotten a lot of run and a lot of snaps this season. So it seems like he's going to get a lot more time as well. He's in the concussion protocol, but we saw him practicing today. Seems like a good sign that he'll play on Sunday.
Master, Kirk Cousins, obviously the storyline never ends around him considering his contract status. What have you made of his season so far? And look, what has he been saying about his future? Has he been kind of mull, or is he thinking about it? I'm sure he is, but still, his progression, what do you think of him right now and his future with the team?
Kirk is always going to be coy. He's not going to really tell you too much, and he looks at it from the most logical situation, that he knows that it all depends on how he plays. How he plays will determine how much he's worth and how much he thinks that he'll get, and whether the Redskins want to retain him or whether they move on and somebody else wants to sign him. So he's aware and understands that his performance dictates everything. And so far, he's cut down on the interceptions. He's cut down on some of the mistakes he has made over the last 6 years. I think he's a little bit more efficient. But the Redskins almost need him to be great right now with all the injuries that have been going on. And there are limitations that Kirk Cousins has in his own game that it takes almost – he's not one of those guys that's going to make everybody around him better. Let's say that. And he needs to have the weapons like Jordan Reed to be healthy, or Trent Williams, the left tackle, to be there and present for that offensive function to the best of its ability. And we haven't necessarily seen that so far because of all the injuries that has happened. But I think for the most part, I think Kirk Cousins having another solid season and showing that he is a capable starting quarterback. I don't think that's a question anymore, and it shouldn't have been anyways to begin with during the start of the season. At this point, it's more so, is he a top 10 quarterback and how much is he worth? And that, I think, is still to be determined, because as we've seen through the last 2 years, Kirk Cousins typically has a really strong finish to the season, and the Redskins are hoping that he does the same this year.
Master Tesfatsion of the Washington Post joining us right here on Dunc and Holder. Okay, Master, has Junior Galette been running around the locker room like lighting his old Saints jerseys on fire because he hates the team and he wants to sack Drew Brees like 15 times because he feels bitter?
Actually, we haven't seen so much of him, man. He's actually remained quiet all week, despite his Twitter and Instagram accounts saying otherwise. Look, I mean, it's probably no secret in New Orleans, probably no secret here in D.C. either. He's been looking forward to this game. He's been looking forward to being able to show New Orleans that they made a mistake and letting them go. Obviously, the situation is a lot more sensitive in terms of it goes beyond just football. Obviously, when you're talking about the charges that were brought up on him and the reason why the Saints feel like they need to release him and move on from him, but he has been able to play in the 2 seasons after that because of 2 Achilles injuries. And this season, he served as a backup rotational pass rusher behind Ryan Kerrigan and Preston Smith, who were 2 exceptional pass rushers. So he's been getting a little bit more run as of late, and he's gotten close and getting some pressures on the quarterback. I feel like he's going to lay it out on the line in this game. I don't see any reason why in the 20 snaps or 25 snaps or whatever the case may be that he'll probably get in this game, that if there's an opportunity that he has to just pin his ears back and just go after the quarterback, that he's going to give it everything he has. So that's obviously the guy that Junior Galette is, and obviously someone that's going to be very emotional going into this game.
Master, what are the keys for the Redskins to come down here and pull off the upset?
Man, I mean, the Saints are an exceptional team. Just watching them, obviously, the revamped defense that they have and the running game that they've been able to establish. I think it starts with, and it's weird to say this with the Drew Brees team, but I mean, you got to stop the run. You got to be able to stop Alvin Kamara and Ingram and what they're capable of doing. I mean, Kamara looks outstanding this season. I mean, and it was a great decision by New Orleans to trade Adrian Peterson and get Kamara some more touches because he looks like he's going to be a stud. The Redskins need to be able to stop the run and allow some of their pass rushers to pin their ears back on third downs and being able to bring in maybe bring in three pass rushers that they've shown at sometimes when they line up Preston Smith, Ryan Kerrigan, and possibly Junior Galette or Ryan Anderson. So they need more of those situations, those opportunities. And then on offense, it's just trying to get whatever you can get, really. I mean, we saw Trent Williams. He was practicing on Friday, which is a good sign that he'll probably play on Sunday. And if he's playing, that'll obviously be a great sign for the offense and the offensive line to get their Pro Bowl left tackle back. But Kirk Cousins needs to be efficient, and they need to get something out of the running game. I feel like Samaje Perine has to have a huge game here to give the offense some balance because he has shown that if he gets 20, 21 carries that he could still withstand that, despite being a rookie, that he could still, play at the same effort, tempo, energy level, and physicality that he displays on his first carry, as we saw. I believe it was week 2 and week 3 when he got 19 and 21 carries. So I think Samaje Perine needs to have a big game and for the Redskins to have a chance.
Master Tesfatsion of the Washington Post. He'll be heading down here to cover Saints Redskins. Hey, Master, appreciate the time. And, boy, the fact that you're buddies with Josh Katzenstein, I'd question I'd question that in life.
Tonight, and we're turning up tonight.
Oh, no.
We having fun all weekend, man.
Oh,
that's my dog.
No. Y'all are a dangerous duo. I'm afraid for you two. And NOPD, be ready. Hey, Master, appreciate it, and good talking to you.
No doubt, man.
All right, that's Master Tesfatsion from the Washington Post. Let's get back. I will give you my prediction for Saints Redskins. Look, they're going to be heading up Sunday in the Dome, noon kickoff. This game isn't flexed, but the next couple are flexed a little bit. So, but yeah, look, obviously they're getting the national perspective, national attention, hence why ESPN's Dianna Russini is going to be back down here. I think it's her second time in maybe the last 2 or 3 weeks. So, 3 or 4 weeks, something like that. But I'll give you my keys to the game, what to look for, and my prediction. So come on back. Sports1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeart Radio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
Josh Innes, afternoons noon until 2.
LSU controls its own destiny and everything. Now, they ain't going to beat Alabama, so they're playing for second in the West.
Boy.
Which, I don't know, I mean, again.
That's something to shoot for.
Yeah, we could, if you play hard enough, you can be second place to Alabama.
Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Get your home ready to entertain holiday guests by shopping Lowe's for pre-Black Friday savings. From washers and dryers to entirely all-new matching kitchen appliances, Lowe's has you covered. Get up to 40% off select appliance special values or save $1,400 on a Whirlpool kitchen suite at a tasty new lower price of just $27.96. All projects have a starting point. Start with Lowe's. Appliance offer valid through 11/30. When exclusions apply, Whirlpool offer valid through 11/19. While supplies last, see store for details. U.S. only.
4 touchdown passes for Ben Roethlisberger last night to lead the Steelers to an easy 40-17 win over the Titans on Thursday Night Football. Antonio Brown had 10 receptions.
Always ready to move the field, transition the field, get some points in the red zone, put some points on the board, and it was a great feeling today.
Pittsburgh has won 5 in a row. The Marlins' Giancarlo Stanton and the Astros' Jose Altuve named the MVPs of the National League and American League respectively. Stan just beating out the Reds' Joey Votto. Aaron Judge of the Yankees was the runner-up in the AL. The beat goes on for the Celtics, a 92-88 home win over Golden State. Jaylen Brown playing with a heavy heart after just losing a close friend led the way with 22. Here's Coach Brad Stevens.
Didn't know if he was going to play, but made the decision to play. And I think wanted to
like Isaiah, use it as a distraction. And so he went out there and played, and he was really, really good.
The Celtics have now won 14 consecutive games. That's sports. Frank Arity, NBC News Radio.
The second annual Strikes for Kids
1 minute.
Monday, December 10th at
Okey
the Fulton
dokey.
Alley Lanes. All proceeds will benefit the Strikes for Kids Christmas giveaway, which will provide hundreds of New Orleans area kids with a wrapped toy for Christmas. This year's event will be hosted by Saints linebacker Craig Robertson and his teammates. So come out for a great day of bowling for a great cause. Go to strikesforkidsneworleans.com.
Introducing Sara Lee Artisano Bakery Rolls. The same soft and smooth taste you love about Sara Lee Artisano bread, now in an artisan-style split-top roll. Log on to SaraLeeBread.com/sweepstakes and register to win $1,000 in a year's worth of Sara Lee Artisano Bakery Rolls.
Put a grand in your hand. Win $1,000 every hour. Up to 16 times a day. Weekdays. Starting at 5 a.m. When you hear the keyword, text it to 200-200. Listen all day for a chance to put a grand in your hand on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
She thinks my tractor's sexy.
Dunc and Holder now. Josh Innes next at noon on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Welcome back. Final segment here on Dunc and Holder. Again, if you missed any of our show, had some great interviews. Had Master Tesfatsion from the Washington Post. Had Dianna Russini from ESPN. I talked with our own Jim Derry about some prep football. If you missed any of it, Sports1280.com, NOLA.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube page. You can check out all of what we talk about after the fact. Look, Saints taking on the Redskins this weekend. They're nearly a double-digit favorite, which I'm sure fans are thinking, man, this could be a trap game, and it could. Look, you look at the way that the Redskins have played this year, and I think enigma is certainly the exact term for the Redskins. Look, they have beaten the Rams in L.A., they beat Seattle in Seattle, and yet they lose at Philly. They've lost to Philly twice, actually. They lost at Kansas City. So they played a pretty tough schedule. They lost to Dallas at home, and they're coming on. They barely beat San Francisco at home a few weeks ago, 26-24. And they're coming off of a 38-30 loss to the Vikings. I do think that this is a team that, if you're a fan, don't take them lightly. Obviously, the fans aren't playing. And I know the team, the Saints, they're not going to take them lightly. Look, Kirk Cousins is probably one of the better quarterbacks that they will have faced this year. And it's going to be a matchup that Washington knows that their playoff livelihood is on the line. They are not even in the top 10 in the NFC because the NFC is so stacked. They have 10 teams right now that are 5-4 or better, and the teams that are ahead of Washington right now in the NFC standings, and those that are on the outside looking in, they all were in the playoffs last year, which is pretty amazing. The fact that right now in the NFC they have 5 teams that are in the top 5 of the NFC standings, and none of them made the postseason last year. Just such a topsy-turvy league. And also one thing. Man, you see that Cam Jordan is on the injury report. He was not on the injury report on Wednesday, but apparently had a back injury, was limited in yesterday's practice, and kind of gives you a little pause. Obviously, Cam Jordan is one of the best defensive ends. To me, he's the best overall defensive end in the NFL. Look, people can say what they want. I'll take my own opinion. I'm not going to be argued out of it. But if he's hindered, I think that's an issue. You look at least on the injury report side, Kenny Vaccaro was limited as well, and A.J. Klein not practicing. So they played without Vaccaro last week. They did just fine. They played basically without A.J. Klein. He kind of went in and out of the game last week. Obviously, Manti Te'o would jump in for him, and he did last week. If Klein's a no-go, I assume at this point he probably is a no-go. You've at least got some answers there. But I think going up against a guy like Kirk Cousins, I think it's going to be a challenge. It's not Tyrod Taylor back there. It's not Mitch Trubisky back there. I think Kirk Cousins is going to test this defense. And I know they're walking into this game without Rob Kelly, so their run game is you look at the carries that they've had, and it's been divvied up almost down the line. Chris Thompson, 60 carries. Samaje Perine, 66 carries. Rob Kelly, 62 carries. So it's certainly running back by committee. So obviously you're going to see more Perine and you're going to see more Thompson going into this game. But the Saints now, they've kind of got the target on their back. They're coming in. They're going to get the best shots from these teams. Just look at the Bears. I think Trubisky and the Bears gave them their best shot and made it close. Obviously, the Bills thought they would bring their best shot. Didn't exactly happen, and the Saints throttled them. But even though the Saints are playing at home, I think the Redskins are going to give the Saints far more trouble than the Bills gave them in their own place last weekend. And so my prediction for the game, I'm going Saints 30, Redskins 20. And like I said earlier in this hour, I talked with Terron Armstead off mic, as we had an interview with him. We aired in the first block of this hour. And you think this might be a trap game, but the Saints, I feel like, have played through those trap games already. Like Tampa could have been a trap game. They won. Chicago could have been a trap game. They won. They made some mistakes, but they still won. And I think the Saints, can they afford to make a mistake or two now? Yes. Can they overcome them? Yes. Should they not make a habit of that? Of course not. But I do think that the Saints are rolling. The dome is rolling. All you got to do is feel like you go in that locker room and everyone is feeding off of each other. It's pretty amazing. And I go back to a conversation I had with Terron Armstead off mic. Not necessarily off the record, but off mic. And I told him, look, I've been around teams since 2006. So I've seen the 6 team. I've seen the 9 team, the 11, the 13 when they were good. And this is a different dynamic. And it's honestly, it's a fun dynamic. And it's a dynamic that I haven't seen because there are so many young players who are kind of all hitting the stride at the same time. And it's pretty fun to watch. And it's pretty fun to observe in the locker room. People talking with each other. Look, even though Drew Brees is bordering 39, you could sense in him he's got this kind of kid dynamic, and he's just enjoying it. Alvin Kamara is keeping him young. Michael Thomas is keeping him young. That offensive line is keeping him clean, and I think that's a big thing. So I'm going Saints 30, Redskins 20. I think the Saints go 8 in a row and go to 8-2. I want to thank Jim Derry, NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. Again, he will be at Newman tonight, 30. So check out that action on the on his show and all of our coverage of the prep playoffs. I want to thank Dianna Russini from ESPN and Master Tesfatsion from the Washington Post. So Jeff will be back here on Monday, so come on back. I'll be back here too.
So Galette, is Junior Galette coming on Monday's show?
I think I'm going to avoid him. What's that? I know. Sports1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder. You the man, Dave. Thanks, brother.
Good show.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it.
iHeartRadio Music Festival from Las Vegas. Let's go. 2 nights.
All right, man. Have a good weekend.
You too, buddy. Of the biggest artists on the planet. Celebrated with iHeartRadio fans from around the world.
iHeartRadio, we appreciate it.
Our sold out 2017 iHeartRadio Music Festival. Coldplay, Big Thomas Rhett, The Weeknd, and more.
Watch our must-see iHeartRadio Music Festival, Wednesday the 22nd and Friday the 24th on NOLA 38, the CW.
Kix Brooks here. You know, Boot Barn is committed to serving our troops overseas. And to help support these efforts, they're having the Socks for Soldiers event. Boot Barn is going to collect donations in stores nationwide and partner with Operation Care and Comfort to send care packages to the troops overseas. The Boot Barn team cares deeply about our troops, and so do I. And we know you folks do too. So stop by Boot Barn between November 2nd and November 12th and help support our troops.
WODT WNOE FM HD2 New Orleans. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app. Search Sports 1280.
Of BuzzFeed, who says the Uber driver was hailed to pick up Winston from a party in Denver.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. All right. So that.